We are back. Let's get our face on here.
I know,
There
right?
we go. All right.
Hello. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm trying to this. Let me see. Hold on. Y'all see all that new growth? Whoa.
I know, girl. It is fabulous. Like I'm in love with it.
It's,
Yes.
I am like, this is the love of my life. You hear me? I'm like, yes. Sorry, I'm trying to get this screen bigger. It's the love of my life. I know, like, you get used to this part. You get used to the fuzzy part. It don't bother me, but people who don't have locks, they're like, what's
Mhm.
she doing over here? But
Oh, I love it. Like I love when I see people with locks and like they have like just this thick, luscious growth. I'm like, oh,
yes, because it really stands for healthy hair, y'all. I mean, my hair is I haven't been able to get it to grow like this for a long time. So in my adult life, this has been my baby. This
yeah.
I'm rocking with it. Every now and then I think about cutting it. I see y'all with y'all straight hair and them curls, and I be like, and then I'd be like, okay, Stephanie, what you gonna do after that though? It's not gonna work. But
Right.
anyway, good morning.
Yay.
So excited to be here this morning. I look tired. I probably am. I've been working and hustling and doing everything else, but we're here. And hey, Nisha.
Close up of you there.
I know. I'm like, ooh, wait. I was about to back up
All right. Let's see. Let's back up a little bit. Let me
a little bit.
Phew.
I like that one. Um,
Yeah.
so, anyways, let's cover good ground. Follow us on YouTube, Raising the Bar Dash Pod, Instagram, Raising the Bar dot pod, Facebook at Raising the Bar. So you guys come along the journey with us. We have been enjoying it, and I was telling Nisha, I was like, listen, I got a little bit of a bone to pick. So as I go into this new season of mine, I find myself retreating. But I used to feel like that was kind of a bad thing. But now, as I continue on this journey a little bit deeper, as I dive a little bit deeper, my retreat is personal. It is because I have to dive a little bit deeper so I can come up a little bit further. And sometimes when you're in the middle of your journey, you're like, no, I probably shouldn't retreat. I should keep people around me. But the more I talk to people, the more I'm realizing that we don't spend enough time alone. And I think that Nisha's topic, she came up with this, and I think it's beautiful and it's on point. It's guard your spirit. And sometimes a part of your retreat, unless, which we talked about, which we're going to talk about, grieving. You are grieving. Sometimes I don't want you to retreat when you're grieving because the place you get too dark. It gets too dark for you there. But any other instance, when you're trying to build something, when you're trying to build legacy, you need sometimes a retreat. You need to get away and guard your spirit. And I think Nisha is perfect on this topic, and it really hits home for me. And I wish I could dive a little bit deeper, but maybe we'll build this out good for y'all today. And I'm learning that we have to go because people don't spend the proper time alone. We have to go back to basics. Um, Almost like, like those ABC blocks. That's what I see, like ABC blocks that we put in preschool. When you don't spend time alone, we have to do like preschool type work. And
You got to go back to your foundation.
yes, you have to do that. We can't do that for you. I have 3 children to raise. I cannot build a foundation for you, but what I can do is be here to help you build your foundation. And so that's some of the stuff I wanted to cover today, because I find that people lean into what you're doing instead of their own foundation. And that is exhausting for people like me and Nisha who love people. That is exhausting. And we need you to do your own work. We need you to build out your own foundation. And what we're trying to show you is that it works. That's why we're here. We're here to show you and help you along as you do your own work. Okay? You got to do your own homework. I can't build your legacy, but I can show you how. I can take some of my time away from my life and my budget and my bills and my kids to say, how do you want to build your legacy? Do you want to guard your spirit? Let me show you how. But you have to do the work. I can't give you the answers to the test. You still have to take your own test, and the test is life. That's the test we're talking about. So let's go back, y'all. I'm gonna retreat on y'all, but here's how I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna talk to you through the podcast because I'm gonna retreat because I'm trying to build legacy too.
Mhm.
So we talked about good stuff. We have some good podcasts posted. We got Finding Purpose. We got how to manifest things in your life, how to get some things to come out of the spirit realm and become your today. I'm still working on that, by the way. Whew, it gets heavy in there. We talked about building legacy. We talked about the other woman. We talked about, and the other woman kind of was really good. That turned out to be a really good podcast. And that kind of talked about integrity, I think, and just building your character, which is super important as you try to go higher. And we talked about boundaries, and we also talked about what me and Nisha are like outside of the podcast, which I found interesting. So go check it out, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And then we're going to dive in today. Guard your spirit.
Mhm. All
So,
right. Yes. So guarding your spirit, like, oh my goodness, it's something that I definitely had to learn over the years too, because as you know, as a person that, you want to be present for everyone, you want to help people and all these things. And just, I mean, just, talking to your friends and family, people bring different things to you. And it can get heavy when it's all
yeah,
put on you, you know what I mean? It affects you. So, and when people are bringing things to you, it can bring you down. It can put you in a space that you don't want to be, or you don't know how to deal with it. So, guarding your spirit. And more so when I was just kind of thinking about this, I was thinking a lot about, how do you guard your spirit? Like, how do you do that? And the first thing that came to my mind was aligning your values and your intuition with God, like aligning your values with God, and trusting your instincts and knowing what is good for you and what is not good for you.
right.
Like, have you ever okay, so have you ever had like a moment where you were, talking with somebody and it just what they were saying, it just didn't feel right. Like something
Right.
was just like, you know what? Like I don't know if I should be partaking in this conversation. Like that's your intuition, like that's your gut. That is God saying like, "Hey, what they're saying is not aligning with my values. Like you need to cut that short." You know what I mean? Um like, okay, and I'm gonna give y'all another example of, guarding your spirit. Like, you have to be aware of what you are consuming, like what you're eating, what you're watching, conversations that you're having with people. Everything that's coming to you is
Right.
coming into you.
It is.
So you have to be aware of those things that are coming into you, because if you're not able to filter those things can come into you and affect you negatively.
Right.
Like foods that you're eating. If you're eating junk food all the time, that's affecting your body. God gave you this body to carry you to old age so you can fulfill your purpose here on life.
Right.
But if you are constantly feeding yourself, junk, you are shortening your life.
Right.
Like, for instance, I love eating Wendy's. That's like my guilty pleasure, right? Like after after work, I go to Wendy's and I will literally sit in my driveway before I open the garage door, before my kids know that I'm home, and I
Right.
can sit there and I will eat my fast food. But
Right.
what I started to become aware of is how I felt after I got done eating it.
Right.
Like, I don't know if anyone else has had this experience.
I
So
like brownies. So brownies would be my Wendy's for you.
mhm.
But I
Yes.
feel my sugar high.
Mhm.
I it don't feel right. So
It
it's like,
don't feel right.
why?
And I'm gonna tell, and on a physical level, like after I eat Wendy's, like I don't know, my body starts to produce a whole bunch of mucus,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like, I'm coughing, I'm spitting, and I'm like, what in the world?
It
It
just
tastes good.
I just
You know,
realized.
the Wendy's tastes good, but after I'm done eating it, my body feels disgusting. That is my body rejecting all of that and letting me know, like, hey, this isn't good for you.
It's no good. No
It's
brainer.
not good for you. So now that I know better, that's what I need to do. I need to do better. God gave us the gift of knowledge. And when you know better, you have to do better.
Yes.
So if I'm sitting there and I'm just like, all this music coming, that means I need to stop eating that and I need to find things that are more healthier. And
Right.
also with consuming things, when you're well, I lost my train of thought. No, when you're watching things, like social media is big right now, movies and everything. Like when you're scrolling along and, you're watching these people fight or, people who are spewing like, negative opinions about certain things or, just whatever the case is, like you have to be mindful of what you are consuming because you have to be able to filter those things. You need to be able to say, okay, I'm not going to accept that. Okay, well, that's fine because everyone has a camera. Everyone is on these social media platforms and they're just saying whatever comes out of their minds. And a lot of times they aren't aligned with values of God themselves and they're just out here just spewing things. A big thing is like, people who are talking about relationships. And, you know, you have people who they're fresh out of a bad toxic relationship, right? And they haven't healed from it, but now they're in front of a camera giving you advice on how to have a good relationship when they just got out of a terrible toxic relationship and they aren't healed themselves, and they can point out all the toxicity in the other person, but they haven't yet dealt with the toxicity within themselves. So
Yeah.
you have to be able to filter that. And you can't take everything that people are saying and, take it as truth just because they have a big platform and, everything looks all nice.
Amen.
You still have to know what aligns with God, what are the good values for you in order for you to, sort of sense when they say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater type thing, that should be like your filtering process. You can't take it all that someone's saying. But yeah, sometimes people they have little nuggets here and there. And if they align with, your values, then that's a good thing.
It is.
Another thing that I want to really talk about with when you're watching things, watching TV. There was this movie that came out some years ago. Me and my husband were watching it, and it's called Beast of a Nation. This movie has won, it was like critically acclaimed. It won all these awards and all this, that. If you've heard of this movie and you watch this movie, then you know what's going on in this movie. And if your gut didn't turn when you watch this movie, then maybe you need to kind of reevaluate your alignment with
Haven't
God.
heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Good, good. And I don't want anyone to watch this movie. That's just how sick this movie is. You know what I mean? Like, and if you've seen the movie and you're saying like, "Oh, well, what was so sick about it?" It's just I don't even want to describe what was in the movie because I don't want to speak that negativity to someone else. You know what I mean? Even like talking about it is is against what I have going on. And I remember watching, me and my husband were watching this movie and we were like, this what in the world is this? This is not good. This is not right. And we turned it off. And that is when you know that you are aligned.
Right.
When you are watching something, and even though people are saying, "Oh, this movie is great, you should watch it. Oh my gosh, it's the theatrics, the actors are great, da 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 da." But if you gotta force yourself to watch something,
Right. You
then
feel like you're
you
throwing up the
shouldn't be
whole.
watching it, you know what I mean? And you can't always go with, everybody saying, "Oh, this is great." Like TV shows, like that TV show Empire. Oh my gosh, like the first 5 minutes of that, I was like, "Now turn this mess off. I'm not watching it."
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's
Started
not.
off good, and then it kind of took a turn. It just started going like real deep.
Yeah, like once I was over someone's house, and we're all sitting in the living room, even my kids are there, and the person turned it on TV, and literally like there's a sex scene. And I'm like, if you don't turn this mess off, my children are sitting here. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
So
unfortunately, people watch that
in
type of
Georgia
show.
was like another one I was trying to watch. And I can't even finish the season because every other time, what Jenny, she's like giving head, and I'm like, you in high school? Like, why are we putting
Right. Why is this on
and
TV?
she's a mixed baby doing it to a white guy, and I'm like, I can't even finish the season. I mean, and this was a couple of times on the season. I'm like, why are we promoting high school students doing this? Like,
Right.
the agenda is real, y'all. The
Mhm.
agenda and what you're seeing and what your children are seeing. Even sometimes I've gotten even better because I'm terrible about my children watching their iPads. And I'm like, I hear stuff and I'm like, that's not
Mhm.
kitty. Like, where did that even come from? I make them turn YouTube off, not all the time, but a lot because I'm so annoyed with
Mhm.
what is coming in. And I think I saw something else where they were having transgenders come into schools and teach them how to dance. And the news lady was like, other children are learning quantum physics, and we're trying to teach our kids how to from transgenders how to
Right.
like
Had a
what
death
is going on?
drop.
And I'm with Nisha is speaking truth. Guard your spirit all the way down to what you watch. And I used to think my mom was like overbearing, and I'm like, why we gotta want? I want to watch it. It's just a movie. It's not just a movie.
It's
It's
not.
not just a TV show. It's not just you speaking frivolously. Oh, I'm just joking. Words have power. The universe and God and heaven that is backing you. Sorry, I hate when people say the universe, but all of heaven that is backing you doesn't know that you're joking. So
That's
when
the
you say,
universe.
yeah, I know, I'm like, let me back up. You know how I get. Don't get me started on my little.
God created the universe, so
Yes,
God
he
is the
did.
universe. When I say the universe, I mean God.
Yes, that part. So we just clarifying. That's all. We just
Yeah.
so listen. It's not a joke. Like, you can't just use your words how you want. You can't just say what you want. You're speaking. In the beginning, in Genesis, in the beginning, God spoke these things into existence. So what we're watching, it's in you. It's in you. Just like men, that's why we can't sleep with everybody. And I'm talking, I don't know, there are men that might watch our podcast. I love men. I want them to be around, but I don't know if they'll find this interesting. So men, just like we can't sleep with everybody. Why? Because that's in us. That becomes a part of us. I'm trying to keep it PG-13, but that becomes a part of us, right? So we can't just do what we want. Long story short,
Mhm.
we can't watch what we want. We can't eat what we want. And like she said, I want to back up a little bit because all of it was good. I'm over here taking notes, trying not to interrupt. But even down to eating what we want so that we can fulfill purpose. And that's a hard one for me. My arms will wave. My arms wave like,
It's hard
so
for me.
obviously I haven't mastered food and working out yet. But I'm saying we have to try to change one thing at a time. And I'm working on the coffee. And I didn't say I don't pull up at Starbucks. I said I'm working on not pulling up as often so that I'm getting my sugar content down and I'm getting off of caffeine. So I'm trying to find more natural ways to energize myself. Like, how about just go to bed? Step one. Step two, what are you eating? Because your food energizes you. But I also saw this thing on, I'm going to shut up in 2 seconds. But I also saw this thing where they put the apples into this freezer and they lock them up in there and they sit them in there for like 24 to 48 hours or maybe even longer. And so that it's like a preservative that they freeze onto the apples so they don't go bad as fast. So now my apple's tainted, y'all. Now I think I'm eating something good, and my apple been sitting in a freezer with some kind of gas for 24 to 48 hours so that it won't go bad. How do I
Right.
keep myself on that? Let me tell you how. Grow a garden, okay? And if you ain't got no garden, you got an apartment, you can grow stuff in your apartment. Believe it or not, I know you might not want to, but you can grow stuff. And those things are expensive, but they got little tall things where you can grow veggies now inside. So what I'm saying is there's no excuse. There's
Mhm.
no excuse. And what you can grow for yourself, grow it. And what you got to get out the grocery store, just wash it. Use your vinegar, wash your fruits, wash your veggies, because all this stuff is linked to autism and mental fog, which I struggle with. Um, until recently, I'm getting pretty good about it. Now I run my mouth a lot. But back to you, Nisha. I just wanted to build on those. We are
Yeah,
speaking.
and then, and I'll just add on to what you were saying about the food, yeah, it's hard to be able to, grow your own food for you and your family to sustain you, right? Unless you have like a homestead and, you got the chickens and the
Right.
goats and all that, that's the dream for a lot of people. But what you can do is, do your research. Just like, you find out about the apples, you can say, okay, well, maybe let's try to find some apples that don't go through that process. Or if you're unable to, you can research ways to be able to detox yourself. You know what I mean? Because you're trying to eat as healthy as you can, but of course, with the world that we're in, for one, it's very inconvenient to be able to find all these organic
Very
things. It's hella expensive,
out.
so you have to try to do what you can with what you have. So
Right.
sometimes you may, implement a detox regimen, for you and your family once a month. You drink your detox tea, give the detox tea to your children, let, process that stuff outside your body. You know what I mean? You can find ways to, be as healthy as you can with the means that you have. You know
Right.
what I mean?
With the
So,
that you have.
right, because you don't we don't want, I don't want you to be stressed out about, oh my gosh, like I can't eat anything because
And, not at all, but be
no.
conscious, like don't pull up to the Mickey D's line.
Right, exactly. Like, like McDonald's is out, right? Like, don't even like play with that. Like McDonald's is out.
Yeah, you're better off trying to cook you a hamburger at home. Like that's the
Mhm.
way it
Exactly.
ain't the best, but it's better.
It's better. Exactly.
And
You know
y'all,
what I
not
mean?
without fault. I got some Oreos in there right now for my kids to take to school. And I feel a little bit more but as I'm diving a little deeper into my journey, I feel bad now. I'm like, okay, I can't be trying to change how I eat and not teach them how to eat, which is hard because I gotta almost detox these little munchkins. Like they run around like sugar, and I take away their Oreos. I gotta hear them whining, and I'm like, so how I counteract or I feel better about their sugar is my kids know what outside is. They be outside in the hot and with water, with popsicles, but we going outside. We gonna get out here in the garden with me. We gonna get outside. We gonna ride our bike. We go for walks together.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my counteract to that because they're a little bit younger. They require a little bit more as they're growing, but I still want to teach them how to eat appropriately. So I don't know. Is that good? Okay.
Yeah. And another thing I want to say too is about with guarding your spirit and when speaking to other people. And when people are speaking to you, like, gossiping, lying, being rude, being mean to people, that affects your spirit and that affects the spirit of other people because words are energy and words can manifest into things. They can manifest, into things in your life and in other people's lives. So, if you are speaking with someone and they're gossiping about somebody, that's a negative energy, and you need to guard yourself from that because the things that they are saying about another person that's negative, those negative ideas about that person that you don't know nothing about, that is developing in you. So then when you have interaction with that person, you've already been inoculated with this negative perspective of this person that you don't know.
Right.
And that will affect how you interact with that person. Does that make sense? So you want to guard yourself from that because you could be missing out on knowing this person for who they truly are because of you took in this negativity that this other person was gossiping about. And another thing too is when you are out and about and you are interacting with people, mind your words, mind how you speak to people. Don't be rude to people, even though that person may have, done something that you didn't like. They cut you off, in traffic. Don't roll up next to them and flip the bird. You know what I mean?
Right,
Or
right, right.
in the grocery store and someone hits the back of your foot with their buggy. Don't turn around and be like, "Da-da-da-da,"
Oh, you've been
right,
too.
because it could have genuinely been an accident. Now, if someone's coming for you, definitely, you have to protect yourself and guard yourself
Right.
physically. But, you don't have to be rude to people, if,
You really
you're
don't,
really, really
because you don't know who's going through. You don't know if they buried their
right.
parents.
You don't know
You
what they're
don't know if
going
they buried
through.
somebody. You don't know if they can't pay their bills. Like, you don't know what people are going through, and
Mhm.
you have triggered a situation that could have been prevented by
Mhm.
kindness.
Right. Exactly.
And I ain't saying
Exactly.
get beat, ran over.
Mhm.
Don't do it, because
Exactly.
that ain't of God either. We're working on having backbones as Christians, okay? Because everybody be like, well, you're a Christian, you can't talk to people like that. Well, you can't cuss them out. No, you can't. But you can say that ain't right, and I'm not gonna let you do that. Period. You can
Exactly.
be both. You can be kind
I
and
want to give you like a situation where, when you're speaking to people when you're out, there was, it was a couple Christmases ago. I was going into one of the grocery stores and it was crowded, right? Because it's like a holiday season. Everybody's trying to go grocery shopping for themselves for the holidays. And I see this little old lady that is, she's got her cart, she's got a few little groceries in there, and she's slowly walking. But there's all of these people that are constantly going in and out, and they're kind of going around her, or, just kind of bouncing around, and she's like barely coming out. And I see this, and I just see all these people around her that are like disregarding her. You
yeah.
know what I mean? And as she's struggling to come out. So I go up to her and I say, "Can I help you to your car?" So yes, it literally took like 15 minutes to walk to her car, and she's parked in the first handicap spot, right? And then but I helped her get to her car. And as we're talking, this woman, she's 93 years old. She lives by herself. She drives herself. You know what I mean? And she just had to get out to go get a few things because she knew that the stores were going to be closed for the holiday season.
Oh,
So, she had to get out and go get her stuff, So I help her put her stuff in the car and I'm like, "Hey, drive safe, whatever." And then she reaches in her purse and gives me $1. I'm like, "No."
thanks.
I'm like, "I don't need your money." She was like, "No, but you helped me, I
But it
really
was the best
appreciate
she
you
had.
showing us good people, in the world." And she would not let me leave without taking that dollar. So of
Right.
course I took the dollar and I put it in the little Salvation Army, thing. And and the guy that was ringing the bell, he saw the whole thing, and he was like almost in tears. He was like, "That was so beautiful that you helped her." And I was just like, "Well,
And gave it back again. You could have took that dollar and bought a can Sprite maybe,
right,
but
I
you
could
gave
have
it back
took.
again.
Exactly. But that's just, it just reminds you that there are, people that are in this world that need kindness, that need, you to go out of your way for, 15 minutes to help them. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
that could bring, that makes their lives easier, that puts a smile on their face, that puts hope into their hearts. You know what I mean? So I
I
just
think this is I actually been studying this because I've always wondered. So I was studying last weekend about giving to the poor, and God said in the Bible, y'all, I'm not good at it, but if you go Google it, I promise it'll come up. it says to give unto poor is to give it back. It's like giving unto God. So we are to give to the poor, just as she did. And it can be with your time, it can be with your money. It doesn't always have to be money, but we are to give unto the poor. That's part of principles that we have to activate here to get God to respond to our needs, believe it or not. So I think she activated a principle at that point and creating that kind world that we don't see anymore. Right now, we see where people will record a fight on Instagram versus, put your phones down and don't fuel it, don't give it the energy, And going back to energy, she said our words are energy. Oh my gosh, that was good. Like, okay, so energy builds. Energy is something you use to build and to get to where you're going. So if your words have energy, then that's going to make all the difference for you. How do you speak to yourself? I think is the first thing. So you're going to guard yourself according to how you see in your heart. Like, how do you see yourself is how you'll guard yourself, believe it or not. So if you don't think you're beautiful, for example, if you don't think you're worthy, you're not going to guard your spirit. You're going to let Instagram tell you that you're not an Instagram model, so you're not worthy. You're going to let Instagram tell you, or you're going to let the world tell you that your credit score means that you're not a worthy, good person. Boo, child, boo. But if you don't know, if you don't speak that energy, that good energy into yourself, you won't know. This is good, Nisha. This is like this real good.
Mhm.
Okay.
What you just said was good too, because
Yeah.
that's exactly what happens when you're scrolling. You know what I mean? You see how other people are living, and if you aren't aligned with yourself, and you know that you are a child of God and you are where you need to be, and if you're not where you need to be, you're trying to get there. And when you're seeing, other people who appear to have it all together, you're not downing yourself to be like, oh, like I can never have that, I can never
Right.
be like that,
And those words right there, you'll never have it because of what you just spoke. You will
Exactly.
never have it. You'll
Exactly.
never achieve it. You'll never see it because why? Because you don't feel worthy.
Mhm.
Go
Mhm.
ahead. Keep going, girl.
Exactly. And then, just guarding from just the negativity that's out there, the celebrity gossip and all the agendas that are going on in this world today. You
Right.
have to guard yourself from it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Okay, Romans 1 and 29 and 2 Corinthians 12 and 20, it says, both differentiate gossip from slander and condemn it as a result of a deprived mind, unfitting for Christians. So it doesn't matter what you claim, but if you're going to say that you are, that you believe in God or that you believe in a higher power, God, then this is what you must do. You cannot gossip, you cannot slander, you cannot condemn your brother and then go to God and say, God, will you bless me? Will you help me not feel like I'm overwhelmed? Will you help me not feel unworthy? He gonna be like, but your sister over there, you just got done talking about your sister. You just got done telling your sister that she wasn't worthy and she can go die.
Like what?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. So this is a part of guarding your spirit. We're going to start with telling yourself, you're going to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're worthy. You're going to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're worthy of these great things so that you don't allow people to tell you what you're worth. You don't allow people to tell you what you're going for. You can set the tone because you know within, because you've worked on yourself. You spent some time not scrolling on Instagram. You spent some time watching something that is feeding you, watching something that is feeding your children, something that teaches you how to be a better parent, something that teaches you how to survive, something that teaches you how to be a better person, something that teaches you about these world agendas so we can learn how to combat them. I like to I'm really bad about the politics behind things. But I do pray. But God said faith without works is dead. So I'm convicting my own self right now. But where we get to a point where we combat these agendas because this affects the world our children live in. This is guarding the spirit of our children, which we're guardians over them. And I think I found in the Bible somewhere where it says till about 18, um, the story was something like they were going into the promised land and everybody had to pay their own way up until 18. And then, I mean, everyone was to pay their own way up until 18, something like that. So that's where I'm like, okay, God, is that the age where we kind of let our children go? I won't. But that's where God begins to see them not as babes, I believe. But anyway, so we're guarding their spirit. We're guarding what they're seeing and what they are. And I know it's tough, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to go too far off, but I know it's tough, but be present. I think this goes back to the same thing. Be present. Be
Yeah.
aware of your today. Don't let the enemy steal your today because it's just as important as your tomorrow. It's if not more important, because if you're not present today, building today, then how are you going to build tomorrow?
Mhm. Right.
Um, I don't know. That was good.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Okay.
yeah, that's guarding your spirit. And just you know me, I was I gotta keep talking. Like, okay, so we got all of that out the way. So yes,
Yes.
guarding your spirit. But I want to talk about something.
Okay.
And you know, and this is about people being in your space that you have to guard your spirit from. Back when I was in nursing school, I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues there, this lady that was in class with me, and just, she didn't mean anything by it. She was just telling me about a movie that she watched. Like, this is just on my mind, right? Because this has stuck with me. And this is what, like, I really mean by you have to guard your spirit sometimes. So she's telling me about, I don't know, some crazy movie. I've never seen the movie, I never heard of it, but she is giving me the details about this movie. This was back in like 2011. After she explained to me what was going on in this movie, it's in my head. And it's bothering me. I'm like, oh, like, how can someone make a movie like this? And why would she tell me this? And it was to the point where I would have flashes of what my mind visualized what it was that she told me.
Right. Right.
And it caused me nightmares. Like, it used to just like bother me.
Right.
And it took me a long time to get that out of my head. And it was bothering my spirit, right? You know what I'm saying? And it was like, and that's what I mean by once you see something, once you hear something, like you can't, it's hard to unsee it and unhear it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have to be mindful of the people that you're around. Like if you are around someone who is constantly like talking about negative stuff, it's crazy. I'm just going on extra stuff. Like
No, it's not. No,
never had a situation like that. But
um,
it was just something that just like it just like replayed over and over in your head. Like, have you ever like seen something, like a video, and you were just like, oh my gosh, like why did I have to see that? Like,
yeah,
and it's just
absolutely.
over and it plays over and over in your mind. Like, have you ever had an experience like that?
I have, and I'm going to take it one step deeper.
Mhm,
I have had several experiences like that, but I think this is a good part to say. Just like, for example, when your parents tell you that you're fat, or if your parents tell you that you're never going to be nobody, right?
mhm,
That sticks in your head, and that's the image that you create in your head, right? It doesn't matter that they said at one time. Your mind creates that, and it
mhm,
says this is what you are, no matter if it's true or not. So if I watch pornos, for example, then it's in there.
mhm,
That's who you're going to be. That's what you're going to be. So I think that it's important, like she said, you're gonna visualize this good or bad. So put the good in there. I mean, I think it's
mhm.
still the same thing. You're
I just thought like that was just like crazy. I'm like, am I the only person
no, it
that
does.
has happened to?
Okay, so let me say
Oh my gosh.
one more thing. So,
Mhm,
for example, if your parents have said something bad about you, I like this example a lot because I think a lot of us had some traumas that you might still believe to be true. So you say, Lord, I come out of agreement with that word, and I come into agreement with with the blood of Jesus and what you say about me. That's why you got to know good things, because how you going to speak good things over your life after somebody has tainted you with
Right.
their pornos or whatever? I just
Mhm.
think that's the worst. That's why I'm going there. So um, I'm like,
It is. It's just like,
hi.
uh,
Okay, but so you can't speak over those things that people have put in your mind if you don't have anything positive. And you just go ahead and say, Lord, I come out of agreement with that word. That was weird. That was whack. And I don't want to think about it. I don't want to start to build energy. I don't want to start that to build in my mind. I don't want those building blocks to start on that terrible thought. So just come out of agreement with it and be like, okay, Lord, give me better thoughts. Because the
right.
Bible says, think on better things. Think
Mhm.
on the good things. So this is all this good, Nisha.
Yeah, it
You
is. It
doing good,
definitely is.
girl. You're doing good. So y'all don't and y'all can
And
give
then remember that you are not your thoughts. That
no
is another
oh
thing too. You are not
well,
your thoughts.
kinda.
So if you come across, instances where you someone says
Repeated
something or you
thoughts. We're
see
talking about
something
repeated
and
thoughts.
it's just and it bothers you and your mind just takes it and go crazy with it, you just have to remember like, okay, just because my mind is thinking all crazy because I saw this or whatever, just know that you are not your thoughts
Yeah,
because your mind is are thinking these things. That doesn't mean that you are. So if you are, because you watched, a show and there was a lewd sexual act or someone getting their head chopped off or whatever, and you can't get that craziness out of your mind, just
right.
know that just because it's playing in your mind, it doesn't mean it is you.
Yeah.
That is just your spirit, like, telling you, like, this just
Don't
that's not
sit
right.
right. It don't
You
sit
know
well.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, that isn't right, and that's not normal.
right.
So, I know
All
one
right.
thing that I do to, clear my mind, clear my spirit is that, I pray. I pray to God to, take these negative thoughts and I repeat to myself that I'm not these thoughts.
Not
I meditate. I watch other positive things,
right.
like National Geographic, just watch nature.
So good.
You know
I'm
what I mean?
like, look at that animal because we act like them. You see
Right.
apes, you see lions, you see lions dominate.
Mhm.
We are you like that's us.
Yeah,
And you
turn on
know
a sermon if you have to, you know what I mean?
yes,
Like,
yes.
find
I mean, and it
something.
don't gotta be all like y'all. You can't watch sermons 150% of the time. You're gonna
Mhm,
have to tune out because you get too deep, really, is what happens. So you
mhm,
gotta come out of it and watch something. But we're asking you to watch good things. We're asking you to
mhm.
feed yourself with good things. Read an audible book, even if
Yeah.
the book is about a love story. Hell, you want to be married again? You need to hear a love story. You need to know how a good love story go. Listen to
Mhm.
it, honey.
Yeah.
Listen. Um,
Like, hey, you have to have like a good thought playlist, you know what I mean? Like, you just when you come across, like, good happy stuff, put it on your playlist. So, like, when you are feeling that, you've just been bombarded
yeah,
with a bunch of negativity and you're trying to cleanse yourself of it,
yeah.
put that playlist on, and whether it's on YouTube or whatever, that algorithm will pick it up. If they
Well,
say,
little
"Oh,
nosy little phone. We
you
gonna
like
have all kind
watching
of stuff
cute
on our
videos
phone.
about puppies," you know what I mean? You're gonna get more videos about cute puppies,
You
and
know, that's so funny.
so
Leah's little phone is full of cute puppies. Okay, I'm like, listen.
right, so yeah, and do those things for your children too, because I will get on their iPads and I will put in things that I want them to see, and and I create playlists for them because
That's
if you just
good.
let them just go, it's the stuff on there. It's crazy,
It's
you
weird.
know.
It's weird.
Yeah,
And I've gotten a little small rein on it. I'm not saying I'm good. Zoe likes to watch this like they got on kitty stuff, but they not doing kitty stuff. You know what I mean? Like they be like, watch me kiss my boyfriend.
like what?
Oh, man. And they got on like clown suits and they like, watch me kiss my boyfriend.
And
Okay.
then
Y'all
you have
got
to
one more time,
intervene.
huh?
Right, and then it's not just YouTube, like, my son was watching, a movie on I think on Netflix called Sea Beast, and it's a cartoon,
Oh, what's
it's
wrong with babies?
Huh, well, cause okay, he had the caption on, right? You know, when they have, like, the words and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I'm outside on the back porch and he's in there watching it. Twice he came outside, he was like, "Mom, what does, bloody hell mean?"
Oh,
And I'm like, "Where'd you hear that?" And he was like, "On the movie." And
yeah,
so
you
I
say
had to
that.
explain to him what that meant, and I had to let him know that, that's not a term for a child to use. So,
Yeah.
but then he comes back again and he's like, "Mom, what's an ass?" And I'm like, "Where did you hear that?"
Well, tell him to turn the caption off because I ain't heard none of that. First of all, turn the caption off. You don't watch that movie 100 times. I ain't heard none of that.
Yeah, like, and then he's
I'll
like,
never
"What
touch
is
that.
ass?" And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, and so I had to explain to him what that was, you know what I mean? And
Those technically are not cuss words.
They're not, but it's the way that you use it, you know what I mean? And what it's meant for. But if he's in school and he says, "Oh, bloody hell,"
No. Oh,
right, it's gonna be a problem.
okay. I follow. I'm following. That's fine.
Right. So then at that point, I was like, you know what? Okay, you gotta let's turn it off. Let's watch something else. But I mean, and those are the shows that are like, Disney and all the Pixar and all the make. And we
Yeah.
trust them to make movies
Don't
for
judge them.
our kids, but a lot of times it's they want adults to watch it too, so they put in little subliminal stuff that
I ain't
supposedly
gonna lie to
only
you. I'd be
adults.
like, oh, that was funny. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, but our kids are picking up on
Right.
it,
They are.
you know?
And I do what Nisha say, like if it say stuff like that. I'm not as sensitive to Nisha on that. I probably need to go into prayer. But I haven't put the caption on. I've never heard it, if I'm being honest. And we
Yeah,
watched that movie. I promise you, I'm not lying. At least 100 times, and I've never heard it. But we also don't have the caption on. And
yeah, but
Michael
he
so
likes to read, so, he wants to watch
interesting.
it and read the words. So
Well,
I'm like, "Great, like, if you're gonna read, go
right.
right ahead."
She's not lying. She's not lying. We can't trust this because it has a Disney on it. My
Mhm,
kids were asking about The Little Mermaid, and I was kind of like, I'm torn now as my faith goes a little bit deeper.
yeah,
And Nisha actually don't got me to where the Christmas tree gotta go. So as my faith gets a little bit deeper, some things just because it has Disney on it doesn't make it right.
mhm,
And there's some more articles out there if you want to do your own research on how kitty Disney isn't. So
mhm,
I'm not saying we're not asking for perfection. We're just asking you to be knowledgeable. That's what we're asking for. We're asking you to know if you still want to make the decision within limits. We totally understand. You're still human, but pay attention. I
mhm,
think is the takeaway from this. Pay attention. And
yeah.
I promise you, I'm going to go watch that movie and see because I've never seen it. I've never heard it ever. Maybe I'm not as present as I'm asking y'all to be because I haven't heard it.
Yeah,
But
and it's probably designed that way. It probably just, like, goes so fast that it's just like,
but they're pirates, so I know they say Bloody Hill because the movie is about some pirates trying to find the sea beast.
yeah.
And so I know they say Bloody Hill, and I think I remember that. I might remember that part. I can think about which part they probably said ass on, because
Mhm,
they're trying to get this beast and he's heavy.
mhm, right, and they're probably referring to it like a jackass.
Yes, I think
Right? And that's how I explained it to him. I'm like, ass comes from jackass, which is like that comes from a donkey, and usually donkeys are like dumb and stubborn. So when people say you're acting like an ass, they mean like you're acting like a jackass. And I had to go through the whole explanation with him.
no, and her kids are so brilliant. Me and my kids, we'd be like, can you play that again? Because we didn't hear it, and your kids are so smart. So I could see totally how they would
Your
use
kids
it.
are smart too. Your kids
My
are
kids
little.
are. I'm not saying
Yes,
they are. We just have to
they're
try
little.
a little harder. That's all. We are brilliant over here, but we have to try and listen a little bit harder. That's all. Than your average. We'd be like, wait,
Yeah.
say it one more time. and
Mhm. I
it
know.
was like,
I
okay,
can
we
like,
got it.
I
We
have
got
to split my eyes. I'd be like, okay, say it again. Let me
it. Right. Let me
Because my
process.
brain talks a mile a minute and
Let
like,
me process. Okay, y'all, this is long. We're
I
gonna
know
say
it is. All right.
okay, we're
Well,
sorry.
yes, that's guarding your spirit, guys.
Yeah,
So, definitely comment in the comments below. Let us know about, have there ever been a moment where you felt like you needed to guard your spirit, or you weren't aligned at the time and you didn't guard your spirit and was affected by something negative that
right.
you had to work to overcome. Let us know your experience. So definitely comment, like, subscribe, and definitely share. We're still, building this
We
podcast,
are.
this platform. So definitely be patient with us. And we're putting out, our content, as often as we can. And we would love your feedback. And we appreciate everyone so much for tuning in. And
Check out next week. We'll be here with patience. We're going to talk about patience and learning how to shut up and be patient. Okay. We're
definitely.
looking forward to that, and we'll be back. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.